All right, so I'm going to my closet one by one into the Futures Past archive. And so we're going through the Futures Past archive and we're finding dolls I forgot I even had, including this beautiful 192 doll, a really, really beautiful old girl. And this one just came out of the trunk. And for years I had her and I really couldn't have cared less about her, so much that I forgot I even had her. And so she has like the weirdest looking face ever. And I just thought she was like one of those cheap, inexpensive German dolls that you find, like beginning collectors usually get these cheap, inexpensive dolls. But her eyes really got me wondering. Like they're just weird. So let's just try to turn, if I can, let me just see if I can turn my flash on. And all right, so hold on. We're going to like light this baby up. And all right, look at these eyes. Do you see that? There's like no striations in the eyes. Like, say for example, this girl. You see how like it has like, I don't know. Hold on, let's find another example. See how there's like little striations in the eyes? But this one is it's just weird. It's just like they're so blue. And I was like, she's got an awkward looking smile. Just another German doll, right? Well, there's a little bit of a story behind her. So tonight we're going to do research on this doll and find out more. How it has almost German and French origins. And how this doll is actually almost like a French-German doll. So how could that be? Well, we're going to find out more information tonight. All right, so we're going to take her little wig off. And we're going to look at the marking on the back. So let's go ahead and do that. I have my flash on because it's too dark inside the house to really show you. So we're going to take off her bonnet. And we're going to take off her wig. And we're going to inspect. And I'm no doll expert. I'm going to tell you right now. So we're learning all together. All right, so on the back of the head. All right, there's tape. Yeah, that's normal. And there's some glue remnants from her original wig. And let's go ahead and take a look at this marking. So what you see here is a little bump, right? I always thought this was like a little pimple. I don't know if you can see that. I always thought that was like a little pimple. Don't know if you can, right there. Like a little kiln pimple, right? It happens. The kiln pops the porcelain when they paint it. Yes, I'm getting my nasty manicure out because this is on microscope. And let's just move down. I'm trying to move her clothing right now. Okay, hold on. All right, so we see that little kiln bump, right? No, it's not a kiln bump. It's an actual mark. And I never really knew that. And I did not know that was a doll marking. All right, hold on. Let me try to unsnap her dress. There we go. All right, now we can get the... And there's a number 1. So you're like, yeah, generic German doll. Made probably at the turn of the century. Really cheap, really inexpensive. Mass-produced by the millions. Yes, and yes to all of that. But there's more interesting facts about this doll. Now, she's on a crude composition body. She has her original undergarments, not original dress. So let's go ahead and take a look, by the way. She does not have pierced ears. Generally, French dolls have pierced ears. But if you look at her head, you notice the slant, okay, the cutout, and the slant of the head is really, look at that. You see how deep that is? And it's on a major slant, right? Most German dolls actually have the cut usually up this way, right? So this part of the head will be higher, and then the cut will be this way, like right around the rim. But this has a French slant to it. Interesting. But no pierced ears, like a French doll. But let's go ahead and look closer. Here we go. We're going to turn our girl around. And again, that peculiar, strange, very odd look to her. And I had stuffed the inside of her head with paper. I always do this just to make sure that the glass eyes do not break. So I stuffed the inside with paper. Let's see, does she even have sleeping eyes? I highly doubt it. And she does not have sleeping eyes. Now, this is set glass eyes. I don't know if you can look in there. And the little red thing is where her actual teeth would be inserted inside her. Okay, so let's go ahead and look at the teeth. And that red little cloth piece that you see in there is to make her look almost like she has a tongue inside her mouth. But her mouth looks quite awkward, like hastily painted. Even the eyelashes look hastily painted. But the eyebrows are actually not bad at all. They're striated, they're feathered, much like a really high quality doll. So like this German doll over here. And again, look how beautifully painted those lashes are. Somebody took time to paint them. But on this girl, it's not so bad either, but not as good as most high quality German dolls. But is she German? Is she French? We're gonna go down the Google rabbit hole tonight, boys and girls. Okay, so there was a doll that were made by that was made by the French makers named Bluette. And I don't know if any of you guys heard of Bluette. Okay, Bluette was a major, like if you're a doll collector, especially a French doll collector, you have to have Bluette in your collection. Why? All right, let's go find out about Bluette dolls, and then we can figure out, we're gonna really find out something very interesting about this peculiar gal. Okay, so here's a Bluette example that was sold on, I'm going to pronounce it wrong, so don't be a prick and write in the comments below I said it wrong. I don't really care, but it's Thoreau's or Thoreau's auction house, which is basically a really high-to-do, highfalutin doll auction house in the USA that sells nothing but exquisite antique and vintage dolls like Barbies and German and French dolls from the 18 and early 1900s. And this one sold for $2,000. And this is one of the Bluette dolls. And this is 27 centimeters, born in the 1905 to 1915 era. And why did she sell so much? Look, she's got a really peculiar face. Look at those eyes. Don't they look sort of familiar? Sorry, it's pixelated, but she sold for $2,000. And it's because she's a Bluette doll. Interesting. Let's find out some more. Okay, so we're going to talk about Bluette first before we get to the mystery. In Old French, the sound of her name is enough to spark the imagination, for a Bluette is a spark that lights a fire. True to her name, Bluette set alight the imaginations of young girls for more than half of the century. The 20th century, that is. Introduced in 1905 as a premium for a new magazine for girls, she is the only doll with a written history covering more than 50 years. From 1905 to 1960, children's magazine La Semaine de Suzette, probably pronounced that wrong, was published on a weekly basis. The magazine included stories, games, crafts, recipes, instructions in the social graces, and clothing patterns for Bluette. Bluette was born in 1905, near the end of the heyday of doll making, just after Emile Jumeau and other makers of fine dolls in France bonded together to form the company s.f.b.j. Why? Because the Germans put them out of business. The Germans mass-produced dolls, actually quality dolls, for much lower prices than the French luxury dolls, and put them sort of pretty much out of business. So the French had to figure out a way, and this is not the article, this is me talking. The French had to figure out a way how to continue to make money selling dolls. So this was almost like a $1 million answer, okay? All right, so back to what we were saying. The brilliance of the approach to selling Bluette and La Semaine de Suzette, which was a magazine, to French girls, is demonstrated by the fact that all 20,000 dolls ordered by the publisher, Henri Gautier, probably pronounced that wrong, in 1905 had been sold before the first issue of the magazine was published. Bluette's new mama was urged to begin sewing for her immediately. There were more than 1,060 patterns published over the 55 years Bluette was produced. This remarkable doll survived 2 devastating world wars and the resulting deprivation at every level of life. Her ever-changing wardrobe needs mirrored the fluctuations of a rapidly changing society, especially following these 2 years. What's more, unlikely many other dolls, Bluette's face and even her height changed over the 50 years of production. The first Bluette from 1905 was known as Premier Bluette, or the Bluette Jumeau, which they used heads from the Jumeau company, which was part of the s.f.b.j. at the time. So they was once their own company making luxury dolls and could not keep up with the Germans, so joined a bunch of other makers at one big syndicate of French doll makers. So the first head was made by none other than Jumeau. If you're collecting antique French dolls or dolls in general, everybody wants a Jumeau. Way too expensive to afford for most of us. So here we go. So in 1905, they used the Jumeau head. She was to have a porcelain head from a jumeau head mold, fully jointed body of composition in wood, and she was to come dressed in a simple chemise, which is a slip. The premiere Bleuette has the sought after look of the jumeau dolls, with her heavily painted eyebrows, oily bisque, and precisely painted mouth. She is 27 centimeters. Now, these dolls have to be a certain height in order to be Bleuette. They made them in many different sizes, but the only Bleuette is the particular size. So if it's not that size, it's not Bleuette. Okay, here we go. And she has 4 little teeth. Threaded blue paperweight eyes. The second Bleuette. Here we go. Oh, she's very, very familiar, isn't she? Oh, look at this face. Look at those eyes. Okay, it's none other than our doll. The second Bleuette that was made was using a German model owned by Fleischman and Blodel, and was labeled simply 6/0. Determining precise dating for her production as a Bleuette is difficult, but she appears to have been made and sold between 1905 and 1914. So the particular doll I have is a Fleischman and Blodel. And how do I know that? That face is unmistakably a Fleischman and Blodel. Okay, so let's continue to go down our rabbit hole. In 1915, the Fleischman mold was replaced with s.f.b.j. mold 60, size 8/0. See, the sizes change subtly over, the time. The Bleuette's head was marked 60 with 8/0 on the nape of the neck. Now, s.f.b.j. again was a syndicate of French makers. When they could no longer create the luxury product that they were making and selling for high prices, because the Germans were outselling them, oh my God, like 20-1, because their prices were so much better. They started to make these luxury, beautiful French dolls in the factory of the s.f.b.j., where oh my God, 30 to 50 French luxury doll makers all came together to hastily put out quantity by the millions, just to try to keep up with the Germans. And here's the next one. And as you can see, hastily painted, very, very shoddily done, not compared to the earlier French luxury product, which was exquisite. Then the next mold goes on, and again, we get worse and worse. Hastily painted, overly rouged cheeks, totally too red of lips. And it went on and on and on up until the 40s or 50s, I believe. And there we go. There's the next one. And again, another shoddily paint, but people go crazy over these dolls. As long as it's a certain height and has a certain marking on the back of the head, they want them. And they'll pay $2,000 like you just saw. But yeah, this is our girl. This is our jumeau. Oh God, I have one of those, by the way, but it's not a Bleuette size. It's a little larger, and she won a prize in a doll competition at a doll show with thousands of people. All right, so we got here our Fleischman and Blodel doll. Interesting. So, how did he get in the s.f.b.j. if he's German? Let's find out more. Okay, so we're finding out about the Bleuettes, and according to this article, which is very hard on the eyes. I hate when people use these colored backgrounds. Okay, so these backgrounds are terrible. Did I say backgrounds? Don't mind me losing it. Bleuette was first offered in 1905 for a subscription to a magazine. It would get people to buy more magazines. And it says, as a subscription premium for the doll La Semaine de Suzette, a weekly magazine. So he offered a free doll in order for you to subscribe to this magazine. And everybody likes free things. And it was Bleuette. Gaudier not gonna even attempt that, was overwhelmed with requests from young subscribers, over 80,000 little girls, and wanted this new magazine and the doll. According to generally accepted information, Gaudier, not gonna attempt that one, had only about 20,000 available to deliver at the initial offering. What are we gonna do now? We're screwed. The first doll is best described as an open-mouthed tete jumeau, and again, size number 2. Today, she is commonly known as Premier, meaning the first one. Okay, the second doll offered by Gaudier used to fill the remaining 60,000 orders in 1905 was manufactured by a German firm, Fleischmann and Blodel. Here we go, right here, Fleischmann and Blodel. Fleischmann and Blodel owned factories in the Sonneberg area in Germany, but the firm also had a presence in Paris, France. In fact, Fleischmann, oops, we lost this. Oh God, ooh, are we getting dizzy yet? Fleischmann and Blodel was the first director of the s.f.b.j doll conglomerate when it was founded in 1899. Aha. So it's a German doll with a French presence. Very interesting. Now here's some of the original ones, and let's take a look at them. And yeah, very hastily, wow, really hastily painted. Real unbelievable. And again, here's our girl with those eyes. You see how the eyes are? We do not have striations in them. And we have those awkward lips. You see, just like mine, the awkward lips with the little punched in chin dimple with the very, very, crudely sharp teeth. Well, that is a Fleischman Blodel. Interesting. And we got a French baby doll. Well, actually a German baby doll. Or is it a French baby doll? Okay, so here's the history of Fleischmann and Blodel dolls, 1873 and on. Founded in Fürth, Sonneberg, Germany in 1873 by Salomon Fleischmann and Jean Blodel, also spelled Bloedel, with the 2 dots, as a factory making dolls and toys. Fleischmann and Blodel also had a branch of offices in Paris, London, and Lehman and Company was their agent in Spain. Wow, look at the doll on the left. And that's one of his earlier ones. Those are one of the good ones. Those are the ones that are worth thousands, okay? That's about 1890. And that was known, he came out with a doll called the Eden Baby. And those dolls, if you get an Eden Baby, you are in the money. Okay, well, not like you're not a millionaire, but it's a couple of $1,000s. All right, Fleischmann and Blodel made knickknacks, dolls, or figurines of porcelain, sheet metal, iron, wood, wax, and papier-mâché toys, a man mignon, that moved and played music, automatic dolls that walked or talked. Some dolls may have had a Ferdinand Imhoff marked wind-up walking body. In 1899, Fleischmann and Blodel joined the Alliance of French Doll Makers, s.f.b.j, only the doll division, with Salomon Fleischmann as its first director until 1914. Fleischmann and Blodel are best known for their beautiful bisque-head Eden Baby, or Bebe, dolls. He passed away in 1905, and Joseph Berlin took over ownership and expanded the toy factory, continuing the Fleischmann and Blodel name, making toys and plush animals until the 20s. Fleischmann and Blodel advertised in 1910 plus and on Perlaco, mechanical works for dolls and animals. 1913, plush animals and caricature dolls with unbreakable heads. In 1914, registered the Mishu for felt plush toys and character dolls. And in 1922, advertised Der Heritaire Fridolin. Don't know if I pronounced that right. The Happy Fridolin, an advertising character doll for a Berlin publishing company. And here we go. Here's some identifications of ones. And yes, there we go. It looks like an Eden Baby. Look at that unusual body. It's a walking doll. Yes, and I have one in my collection, and I'll show you guys it. Oh my God, I should get it out, right? It actually, when you move one leg, right, and you pull it forward, the other leg moves in a walking motion. So as you pull one leg forward, the other leg, almost it's like a marching doll, and the other leg moves forward, and then you pull the leg again, and then it just keeps walking. And I have one of those in my collection. Found it on eBay. Somebody thought it was a piece of junk, and I got it for under $100. Really interesting. Here's some of their markings. And there's that odd-looking pimple, that V that we see there with the number. Some were even marked with the Jumeau stamp. And that's really interesting. That's when they were in the s.f.b.j factory. Some just have weird odd little symbols incised in there, like that look like pimples, like this here, with a number, a size number for the head. Some actually have mold numbers. Some are marked Eden Baby. Those are the good dolls. You want one of those? Yeah, there we go. Another one. You want one of those in your collection because they're worth at least $2,000 or more. All right, let's go back and continue to look. So while we're here, why don't we look at some of the Fleischman Blodel dolls. This one is very unmistakably French looking. Look at those lips. Very French with sharp teeth. Looks a little deadly. You don't want to get you don't want to get a doll bite. Definitely not want. You definitely not want to get a doll bite. Here we go. And I believe this is an Eden baby. Yes, it's a small, teeny, tiny Eden baby. And $2,658 for that tiny little doll. And she is, oh yeah, she is tiny. Look at her. Okay, let's continue. And can we see her without her hair, please? So I can see a mark to show you guys. But look at that face, okay? Look at that. And again, the eyes. Very sapphire-like my doll. Oh, okay, look at that crude little body. The body is very crudely, oddly made. And here we go. And she actually, oh, she looks frightening, doesn't she? If I was a little girl, I'd be a little afraid of her with that, those sharp, jagged teeth. Yikes. Okay, and here's her odd-shaped body, marked Eden, Baby, Paris, Depose, which is like a French patent or patent pending type of mark. There we go. Let's continue to look. Okay, so right here on Ruby Lane, sale pending. Gosh, this item is gone. You can't have it. And apparently this seller must like Fleischman Blodel dolls because I see a bunch here. Okay, let's continue to go down. And yeah, she likes s.f.b.j dolls because you see she's selling a lot of them. And let's continue. There we go. There's our friend. There's our friend, very recognizable. And she's a nun this time. Isn't that quite interesting? So let's go take a look. And yeah. I'm trying to get her face better to show you guys those eyes. Those eyes. The eyes don't lie. And I want to see the marking. There we go. Very, very odd. Yeah, very odd looking little doll. Oh, I don't want to see that. Okay, here we go. And there, oh, of course, I lose. Ugh, do we have to do this again? No, we don't want to do this again, damn it. I'm trying to show you the damn mark. Okay, here we go. You see that weird sideways mark on the bottom of the nape of the neck? It looks like a pimple, doesn't it? Ah, well, guess what? It's not a pimple. It's a Fleischman Blodel mark. And so now we solved the mystery. Now we know who made the doll. But how much is it selling for? 500 doll hairs. It sold for $500 and it's teeny tiny. How little is it? It is. Does it say how big it is? It is 14 inches tall. Very interesting. So we got a Fleischman Blodel faux French doll. Yeah, faux, because it's really German. Okay, not gonna lie. Other German doll makers made much prettier dolls, as you can see with this example here. And she's a little odd looking. Look at her little Tyrannosaurus Rex arms, as we can see here, very crudely. Now, they made these on very crude looking bodies. This is not a problem. I mean, it's made out of composition, plaster of Paris, sawdust, and glue. The arms are not jointed. Like you see on these better quality dolls here, you can see the little articulated arms and wrists. And yeah, much more flexible than, say, this. But this is not a problem. Even with the paint chippage and paint loss, this is to be expected with these old dolls. Here we go. She has her original, I believe, no, not an original undergarment. No, she does not. I redressed her. She came with nothing. She was naked. She was, oh, she's got dust. She was totally naked. And I even gave her leather shoes. I spent money on this girl. And I dressed her with replacement clothes. I could not find antique ones. But here we go. Unmistakably Fleischman Blodel. Now, she's like Bluette's bigger sister. By the way, Bluette did have a bigger sister. I think her name was Rosette. And I think she was just like a few inches taller than Bluette. But as you can see, the other one was way uglier than this one. And sold for $500. Or none. Sold for $500. And this one is actually quite pretty. Hold on. If you hear creaky noises, it's because my pop socket is loose on my phone when I'm trying to film. And I have the flash on right now, so you can see every little flaw on this girl. But look at her eyes. Her eyes are like sapphires. Do you notice that? They're like sapphires, but we got that awkward, crooked smile. she's trying to perpetuate a French fraud when she's really not French at all. And she's German. She was always German. So any of these dolls, especially the ones that we think are French, especially the earlier ones, the Eden babies or babies, I like to call them babies, but the Eden babies or bebe was always thought to be like a luxury French doll. All along, it was German, made by a German company who took over as director of a French doll making factory. And yeah, so we learned something new. So what would I price her at? Well, she doesn't have her original wig or her original dress or undergarments, but she's in pretty preserved condition, even with the little chipping on the hands. She's not missing any digits. She doesn't have any cracks to the head, and she has sapphire-like eyes. I would probably sell her again around what the Ruby Lane doll sold for, probably around $500 to $800. You might say, ugh, you're pushing it. I used to sell dolls, and I'm not a doll expert, but I used to sell dolls on Ruby Lane, on Etsy, on eBay, and many other websites. And I'll tell you something right now. If I put a price on a doll, it would sell. It might not just sell immediately. It might take a year. It might take 3. It might take 3 weeks. But yep, if I put a price of $800 on this doll, I will guarantee you someone actually would be willing to buy it. Now, I had an exact sister of this girl. I mean, almost identical. And I sold her for $895. And yep, and I got my price within 3 weeks of listing her. So that $500 was a bargain for that person on Ruby Lane who got her. Yep. So there we go. We got a German doll. I just want to get that hair out of her eye. She doesn't like it. She told me. And there we go. So we got a French fraud, a French fry. No, actually a German fraud. And she's really not French at all. So now you learned something. Thanks a lot. I am not an expert, but so look for the girl with the awkward smile, possibly sharp teeth, although this one has much more refined teeth than the other ones we've seen. But she is unmistakably Fleischman Blodel. Ooh, ooh, wee, wee, a French fashion doll, not a German imposter.